In 1987, a few things had happened to me. First, I turned 18 years old, and then my father died very unexpectedly. And I was also in the best shape of my life because I was teaching step aerobics in college. Now, you might think that's the gayest thing I'm going to say, but just wait. So, because my dad had died, I had to move off campus and back in with my mom back to the suburbs of Boston. And I was going to commuter school, but I was thinking that because the financial situation in my family had changed, I didn't know if I was going to be able to go back to school. And I really, really just wanted to get out of Boston. I didn't think that I needed to live in Boston. And one of my friends came up to me one day and he was like, "Well, you're cute now. Maybe you could be a houseboy." Now, you might not know what a houseboy is. I don't know if it's still around, but in like the 70s and 80s, older gay men or older gay couples would bring in a young man to like a beach house or maybe just to their homes. They would give them room and board and a little bit of salary, and they would take care of the house and maybe some other duties. Now that I'm the age of most of the guys that were posting those ads, I can't imagine the horror of paying an 18-year-old to live in my house. I do not care how attractive they are. I don't have time for TikTok. So I thought that was a great idea. I could get out of Boston. Maybe I could go somewhere exciting. I looked through all of the papers because it was 1987. In the back of the Advocate, I found an ad. It said, "Grown-up California surfer seeks companion for the summer." I was like, perfect, California, that sounds great. So I wrote to him, and you had to write on paper like we were the Bronte sisters, you know? If the Bronte sisters were writing about sort of, sex work adjacent scenarios. And he sends back a letter to me, and inside was his telephone number so I could call him and we could talk about arrangements, and a photograph of 1950s heartthrob Tab Hunter. And so when we get on the phone, I'm like, thanks so much for writing back to me. I'm very excited about talking about this. Why did you send a picture of Tab Hunter? And he said, "Oh, I didn't think you'd know who Tab Hunter was." I said, "Yeah, polyester came out, lust in the dust. I know exactly who he is." And he said, my friends used to say that I look like him. I was like, sure. But I just really wanted to get out of Boston. So I was like, I'm really excited about possibly moving to California. And he said, "No, actually, I'm a California surfer type, but I live on the Jersey Shore." And I'm like, I thought that I might be a Palm Springs houseboy or a Los Angeles houseboy, but am I a New Jersey houseboy? But he seemed very nice. And again, I just wanted to get out of the life that I was in. Life was very sad in the household with one parent gone and another parent struggling. I just was like, if I can get out of Boston, I can have an adventure, and then I can get on with my life. So we correspond back and forth. Finally, he says, "I have a business appointment in Boston. Would you want to meet me? And we can meet somewhere in public. You can get to know me." I said, "That sounds fantastic." So we arranged to meet at a hotel bar. I'm sitting at a table, and I'm looking for Tab Hunter or an older Tab Hunter. And somebody who looks like an extra from The Sopranos just lumbers up to my table. And he's like, "Hi, oh my gosh, it's so nice to meet you. You're even cuter than your picture." And I was like, nothing like Tab Hunter, but sure. And we're just talking about plans, and I said, it's what kind of things would you want me to do around the house, and what is this house like on the Jersey Shore? And he said, "Now, I really have to level with you. You see, I couldn't set you up in the house. It's a cabin that I have on the Jersey Shore. I go there quite often, but also my wife and kids sometimes go there. And if, we could probably arrange it so that you wouldn't be there when they came over, but sometimes they go there without telling me, and you could ruin me." It was so Jackie Collins. I was like, "Oh, I could ruin him. Oh my gosh." So At that moment, I was like, so what are we doing? You know, we've been writing back and forth. I've been talking with you on my mother's landline. I've met you in the middle of a Boston bar. What are we doing? And he said, I have an idea. He said, what I'll do is I can set you up in an apartment in Boston. And when I come to visit you, then we can have a good time. And I was like, no, I wanted to get out of Boston. I wanted an adventure. I wanted to feel exciting and sexy and all that kind of stuff. And he's like, well, but I'd pay your rent. And I'm like, if I wanted to live rent-free, I could stay with my mom. She does my laundry. And then it just hit me that I was the exciting part of this story. Like, no matter what, he was sweating, he was nervous, he was terrified, and I was just going along with all of this, and I realized that even if I wound up a very old man, still living in Boston, at least I wasn't living a lie. And that was a good enough lesson for me. Thank you.